So good morning. For those of you that haven't met me, my name is Rachel Pugh, and I'm one of the directors at Seymour accountancy firm. I specialise in accountancy and advisory services for small and medium-sized enterprises and have a vast amount of knowledge and experience training and advising clients in their systems, internal controls, software, and working with clients to achieve their goals. I also act as an outsourced finance director within my role to certain businesses I work with. The subject of today's webinar is to discuss how outsourcing can assist businesses, particularly within the finance and marketing functions, to enable business owners and leaders to carry out less roles themselves within their business. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions at the end of the presentation to either Nicole or myself. So if you have a question, feel free to pop it into the chat or to use the Q&A button at the bottom, and Suzanne, a colleague of mine, will pick these up and we will get through as many as we can at the end, or come back to you separately if we run out of time. So let's make a start. How many different functions will you personally perform within your business today? How you came about setting up your business? You did it because you're good at it, you enjoy it, and you could see a future from it. The reality is, whether you own the business yourself or you are running or leading the business on behalf of the shareholders, you often get involved in all areas, and this leaves less and less time for you to do what you do best, the core function of your business, and driving it forward to be successful. You didn't necessarily intend to get involved in admin, HR, marketing, finance, operations, and sales, for example, but it's easy to get pulled into all of these different areas of a business. The finance and marketing areas are what we're going to discuss today and how we may be able to help you. Ask yourself, how many different functions are you doing or getting involved with today? And what areas could you look to outsource? I'm probably telling you nothing new here, but we should acknowledge that keeping on top of all the different areas all day, every day is really hard work. And often this means tasks take longer to complete and aren't the best use of your time. That's when outsourcing certain areas can not only help you in the short term, but also make a significant difference to your business in the long term. We've seen from our discussions with our clients at Seymour who either outsource with us today or have previously done so, that it can reduce their costs in the long run. Is that something your clients at Pinpoint Marketing also find, Nicole?
Yes, it is. Outsourcing will allow you to make better business decisions as you'll be armed with the facts and the figures, not just guesswork and luck, thereby reducing your costs, time, and mistakes.
I agree. Due to the flexible nature of outsourcing, it can be cheaper to use outsourcing, whether this is saving processing or recruitment costs. Not all of these costs are monetary, as they also take into account the time costs incurred prior to outsourcing that were consequently saved, and the opportunity cost of lost business whilst dealing with those other issues.
Outsourcing can also reduce mistakes and employment liability by supporting your staff and team with an expert's guidance, so they don't get things wrong, and also so they learn and get hands-on training whilst on the job too.
I agree, Nicole. Human error is also an issue with any industry, and it's no different within finance and accountancy. However, with outsourcing, this could be mitigated by being able to access higher skilled staff for the budget you have, and with the higher skill levels should come less mistakes. And there are no holidays or sick days. There will be usually a team of people or an outsourced finance director trained to deal with your organisation. Consequently, when one member of the team is on holiday or off sick, the others can pick up the work seamlessly behind the scenes and at no cost to you, with the added bonus of no HR management time needed either.
Agreed. Outsourcing also enables us directors and business owners to make better use of the time to focus on the business, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on.
And that's why they set up the business for, continuing with the overall strategy and vision rather than the administration of the numbers in our case. It can also give them peace of mind and to no longer worry about the compliance required. The business owner or the board can rest easy that someone else is keeping an eye on the deadlines. An outsourced finance director or the team can look at areas such as the VAT return, making the monthly PAYE payments, submitting the overdraft information to the bank, or dealing with the year-end accounts and auditors. Peace of mind is really important in today's world, where we're increasingly focused on keeping our eye on stress levels and mental well-being. And this is just as important for business owners and leaders as it is for the employees of the business.
Exactly. Another benefit clients have told us is it helps them make better business decisions by benefiting from having an outsider looking in perspective. This often means they can look at things from a more top-line level point of view and are therefore able to make better informed, rational decisions that help their business survive and thrive.
So what elements of finance can you outsource? Well, top level and strategically, it's that of the finance director role. But also, you can look to outsource the whole accounting function, from the bookkeeping to the management accounting and everything in between. In the bookkeeping area, that would be your day-to-day processing of receipts and invoices and posting up your bank transactions, making sure that all your software records are up to date. For cash and credit control, it could be credit checking customers, chasing debts, issuing statements and reminders, and talking to overdue customers. On the VAT, it would be checking the calculations and ensuring the VAT return is submitted to HMRC on time. Management accounts can be prepared on a monthly or quarterly basis to provide vital insight on how the business is performing, enabling you to make key and timely business decisions. Costs can be managed by way of budgets and forecasts to ensure you don't overspend, and regularly reviewed so that you can get the best deals, which could be discussed at regular meetings with your outsourced FD. An example of more general outsourcing this time is in relation to a client we have been working with for over 2 years now, supporting them with elements of their bookkeeping function, as they did not want to recruit another person to fulfill a part-time role for 1 to 2 days per week. The financial accountant within the business needed some help with freeing up his time as the company was in a period of restructure. And in order to assist him in his need to be available for the directors, we took on some of the day-to-day accounting for them, which included all purchase ledger accounting and payment runs. One of the advantages that they have commented on is that they love the fact that the Seymour Taylor team are always available 5 days per week, every week, and at a cost that is reasonable to the business, and that we're always available to provide the right answers. The saving of time is invaluable to them to enable them to concentrate elsewhere. A direct quote from the finance manager is as follows: "The Seymour Taylor team have spotted certain areas that I would not have necessarily noticed, which have saved us time and money. They are very good at questioning things, which means we don't have to get heavily involved as they manage the process for us." Over the course of time, this client has been impressed with the work done by our outsourced accounting services team, and we now complete year-end accounts, assist with liaising with their auditors, and the client is actively seeking other ways to outsource to us. What this example demonstrates is how wider outsourcing can be a positive step forward for a business in achieving their goal. So how does a specific role of an outsourced finance director actually work in practice? A finance director, outsourced or not, is responsible for the overall financial health of a business and therefore brings financial leadership to a business. They should always understand the mindset of the owner of the board or the board and give their support to ensure there is a solid foundation for the business to grow, asking questions around long-term goals such as exit planning, as well as the shorter-term goals around profitability and sales too. Are you in financial control of your business? Will there be enough money in 3 months, 6 months? Are you making a profit? What will your tax bill be? Budgets and forecasts. Since the pandemic, do you need to review elements of your business? Would you like help with this, really digging deep into the numbers and reviewing areas to look at next? The finance director will provide strategic and financial guidance along with sound financial management and control. This means that what you want to happen in your business actually can and does happen, with less obstacles encountered from the financial aspects. And most importantly, a key role for any finance director, outsourced or not, is to be able to present and explain the financials of a business in a way that is easy for non-accountants to digest, to ensure that everyone understands the numbers and where the business currently stands from a financial point of view. This can be a real plus point for many business owners. It is important that the finance director can get the message across in a language understood by all. Not always an easy skill to master, as we all know that unfortunately many accountants love a bit of jargon. Let me share with you an example of a client for whom we are their outsourcing solution. This client is in manufacturing, and the business is profitable. The business started many years ago, and the owner announced last year that he wished to retire and therefore pass the reins to his son. But he doesn't have that much experience or desire to be involved in the business, in the finance side of the business. The finance team consists of two very able bookkeepers, one of whom is more senior than the other, and they can keep control of the inputting, payment and submissions very, very ably. And where the business lacks is not in the regular activity of keeping on top of the filings and the payments, but on the oversight, on things like cash flow forecasting and budgeting, on looking on where the money is being spent and whether that's being spent in the right place. And this is where we come in and where we can assist in the outsourced finance director role. When we commenced this assignment, we identified very quickly that the bookkeeper would often not pay supplier invoices early. They would often pay supplier invoices early and would not take the 30 days credit that they could. And that's great PR for the company because they're always on good terms with suppliers. But it also means that often there was a short-term cash flow issue at the end of the month when salaries needed to be paid and the directors needed to inject their own personal cash in order to meet their obligations to employees, all of which was avoidable with some better cash management, which we were able to help put in place. The business also let us know that they were needing to look for finance in order to expand, but had recently been unsuccessful in their application due to the cash flow forecasts that they've been providing that have been too basic and too short term. So we were able to provide cash flow projections of, over a period of 6 to 12 months, and using our knowledge of what the finance providers were looking for, we were able to put the right case across and speak to providers on their behalf. Our connections at various banks and loan brokers have also assisted to get the necessary finance on favourable terms for them. We also attended board meetings as appropriate and report on current financial situation and discuss recommendations and improvements on an ongoing basis. All of this without too much input from the director, who is able to do what he prefers, which is talking to customers and running operations without any worry about the finances. We should also consider the advantages for the day-to-day running of the business of having an outsourced financial director in place. Firstly, there are the statutory duties, ensuring the timely submission and accuracy of VAT returns, of corporation tax returns, and of the annual financial statements, as well as potentially liaising with the accounts team or auditors. Secondly, an FD will manage all the aspects of the business financials, not just the accounting systems, but throughout all procedures that feed into the accounts. And this may include setting up effective systems or undertaking a full finance function review to ascertain if there are better, more effective ways of doing things. The FD should also guide the finance team and facilitate day-to-day operations where necessary. A good FD will ensure that there are sound financial controls in place which protect the business. This could be protection from fraud or controls that prevent theft or wastage. Or it might be protection from financial penalties, uncollected revenue, overpayment to suppliers, or simply protection from wasted time encountered by duplication of efforts by multiple team members. Thirdly, an FD will ensure the business and those leading it have the information they need. It may sound obvious to say, but this should be timely, accurate, dependable, and appropriate information that the business requires to make informed decision-making. This information may come in the form of regular management accounts, with or without narrative on key performance indicators. Or it may be other required management information, such as cash flow forecasts, profit and loss accounts, or it could be ongoing business advice, dividend planning, budgeting, and identifying cost and tax saving opportunities. The finance director might also assist with decisions regarding the correct time for your business to raise finance and the right form of finance to take. Decisions on when to invest in plant and machinery or equipment, and the timing of expenditure. The list is endless. And lastly, cash control. Is there enough money in the bank account today to pay my suppliers, employees, to pay yourself? And having good credit control, ensuring profitability is maintained, and forecasting cash flow. These are essential to a business's survival. So an FD undertakes the cash flow management of a business, along with working capital management, so that informed decisions can be made about necessary funding. We have seen this to be particularly important in the last 12 months and more, with the bounce back loan schemes, furloughing, CBILS, and recovery loan schemes all in place, which have needed to be considered by finance directors. A huge benefit of outsourcing this function is that the input is scalable. As desired, it can be quickly and easily increased or decreased depending on the needs of the business and the agreement you reach with your outsourcing provider. It may be appropriate for your outsourced FD to do just 3 or 4 of the processes I mentioned just now. It may be that all are required, or it may be that your requirement for an FD is actually only a short-term one for now, perhaps just a 2 or 3 day project to review existing accounts processes and systems from a financial perspective, produce a report on weaknesses and areas needing attention, and put things in context for the business to consider and move forwards with existing resources. An outsourced FD service provision must be fluid, flexible, and open to change. No 2 businesses are the same, and no 2 business owners want or need exactly the same thing in terms of input and time. It is important that any outsourcing service matches the requirements of the business, and it is serving and can flexibly adapt in changing circumstances. We also recognise that the outsourced FD service may not be a need forever, and further down the line, it might be more cost effective to bring the function in-house and recruit for a full-time in-house finance director. An outsourced FD is perfectly placed to assist with the recruitment process for this, as would have the technical skills to be able to interview candidates and appropriately with the knowledge of the business and its current running practices. So, what are the challenges of bringing in an outsourced finance director? Some people will be very hands-on in their business and probably know it inside out. So you might question, why would you want to relinquish an element of control to an external supplier? The simple answer is time. It gives you more time that you can spend doing what you're good at, running your business, pushing your sales team, talking to a contact about a lead they had, negotiating a better deal on the parts you buy in, looking at the strategy to get you where you want to be, or even finishing on time or going away for a few days. Think of the opportunities that you have lost and that you didn't have time to follow them up. Good professionals, whether bookkeepers, accountants, HR, or marketing professionals, or outsourced finance directors, will collaborate with you, your teams, and your stakeholders, keeping you informed about the financial status of your business, giving advice, and identifying risks, opportunities, and telling you what you need to know. Remember, the success of their business depends on the success of yours. Consider this: when you need to change a plug socket at home, we know that an electrician can do this quicker than most of us, even if it costs a little bit to get it fixed. Afterwards, once the socket's in place and usable again, when you plug your phone in, I doubt very much that you worry each time that it's going to trip the fuse box or break all the other electricals in the house. You don't worry because you trust that the electrician knows how to do his job or her job. And the same can be said for those areas of your business. In much the same way as the electrician telling you that your wiring is now safe, there is real value in a finance professional telling you that your VAT return looks okay, or letting you know that your cash balance is down this month, but there's a valid reason for this. and there's no need to be concerned. It can save you countless sleepless nights worrying about business issues. It really is all about perspective. Many business owners ask, why do I need a finance director when I already have an able team of bookkeepers and an accountant in place? Well, the answer is this: because whilst you may have all these roles to ensure the nuts and bolts tasks of finance are undertaken, your bookkeeper is unlikely to have the time or necessary knowledge and experience to provide you with all of the data that a finance director can. And that you may have only engaged your accountant to deal with your compliance and never felt you could ask them more regular insights. You may be in a situation where you only speak to your accountant once a year, not a situation we advise on maintaining, as we accountants have much more to give than this. Utilising the service of an FD is far more than obtaining accounting advice. An FD will be able to look at business data and not only explain what the figures say about a business's financial health, but also give guidance so that the business can make the right decisions as a result. An experienced FD will take time to understand your business and be able to extrapolate data and present financial data in an easy to digest form so that the business does not get bogged down in detail. So, step back and reflect. Are you getting the financial data that you need to run your business? Does your business have a finance strategy? Do you have pricing structures and sound financial procedures and controls? Is the business profitable? And is that profitability being maximised? Is the extraction of these profits via salaries or dividends a solid part of your financial planning? How do you measure your KPIs, your key performance indicators? Do you even know what your key KPIs are? They may not all be financial KPIs, but with an outsourced FD, they can assist with identifying them and on an ongoing basis monitoring the financial ones and tracking them to help you plan for your future. If the answer to one or more of these questions is no, then in my opinion, you need the support of an experienced finance director. Having an outsourced FD can offer flexible and suitable solutions for the business, who may not have the resources and requirements to hire a full-time financial director. By outsourcing, you can enjoy the benefits of having a part-time FD for your business who works alongside your team regularly to provide long-term support tailored specifically to the company's needs. This is also a great solution for a short-term gap in the team due to any sickness, maternity cover, or to assist with a short-term project. So as an offer for the Business Festival, if you would like to book a free 1-hour consultation with me to discuss your outsourced FD requirements or other finance outsourcing needs, contact me today. Thank you, and now over to you, Nicole.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Rachel and the team at Seymour Taylor for having me along today. And thank you also to Bucks Business First for putting on this webinar for all of us. And I'm sure you've benefited already from Rachel's advice and tips, and hopefully I can add some more onto that for you. So hello and welcome to you all. So thank you all again for having me along. I'm Nicole Martin. I'm the Managing Director of Pinpoint Marketing, an award-winning marketing company, and our aim is to make marketing simple for small business owners, particularly in the services sectors. We want to support and educate you and add value and be a service to business directors and business owners like yourselves and your teams. And we want to help each and every one of the local businesses that we help grow and achieve and succeed. I'm an experienced and reliable marketing professional with many years' experience in this field. I'm very passionate about helping small business owners to collaborate together and use marketing for the greater good for their businesses. So marketing and finance, one is all about the creative and one is all about the numbers, correct? One is all about spending and one is all about saving, as my previous boss forever told me. So would you agree? Are marketing and finance poles apart, or actually are they very similar? In my mind, they are similar because both are all about the strategy, the plan, the numbers in terms of the ROI and spend, the measuring and getting in results. Some of the ideas and concepts I'll cover in the slides coming up have been touched upon by Rachel, but more from a finance point of view, and hopefully I'll add some more to that from a marketing point of view. So let me explain. 39% of small business owners apparently worry that there are not enough hours in the day. This is a stat I recently heard at a small business owner conference I attended, hosted by Dragon's Den and the former Dragon's Den star Theo Paphitis. So does this stat sound familiar to you? Do you worry that there's not enough hours in the day? Does this keep you awake at night? Well, if you do, it sounds like you're in good company. Whereas we cannot create time for you, what we can do by outsourcing, whether it's your finance or your marketing or any other functions, is to help you spend what time you do have more wisely. And we can talk about what you can and can't do when it comes to marketing your business. So what marketing can you outsource? The business marketing strategy and plan is one area. This strategy and plan that we refer to, it's a document that covers the foundations of the business. It will underpin all future marketing that you carry out, such as your messaging, your competition, your audience, or more audiences if you have more than one, your goals, your vision, your marketing research, and more. Once all these areas, all these foundations are defined, the plan aspect will be the who, what, and how, i.e. once you know who you want to target and what you want to say, how are you actually going to do that? This plan is all about the execution and implementation of the strategy. You can't have one without the other. The strategy would just be a list of ideas if you don't take action, and you can't take action if you haven't done your homework before. What else can you outsource? The hands-on delivery of the activity and the campaigns that you're going to be producing across all the marketing channels. By this, we mean the hands-on, the day-to-day, specific tasks like social media posting. It could be your blogging on your website. It could be looking at your SEO, sending email marketing and newsletters, and so on. The measuring of any marketing is key to knowing your ROI or your return on investment, and for tracking against the goals and KPIs we mentioned earlier. Measuring and reporting also helps with the consistency, and it makes sure you're doing marketing on a regular basis, also at the right time and to the right people. Outsourcing, as you know, is something that you need to work on. It's something to measure. How will you know if it's working? And if you don't measure and report on what you're doing, you don't know where to spend your times and efforts and budgets. As Rachel said, as business owners, we can't juggle all of the aspects of running our business on our own. So another and perhaps key thing to outsource is the running of your marketing department or your team. For example, marketing director role. This role is essential when your business gets to a certain size or a status and when you have ambitious growth plans. So now we know what to outsource, we need to know how. Consultant or an agent like me can work with your internal team, whatever that team may look like. We take note of all the team's skill sets so everyone plays to their strengths, including us and you, and within the business, and we plug all skills gaps and can enable the smooth implementation of your business and marketing plan. Some of these skills gaps can be covered by myself when it comes to the strategy and the planning, or perhaps consultancy and accountability, but some of these areas I can signpost you, the client, to. For example, if you needed something specific like SEO or PR, graphic design and so on, I can connect you, the business owner, to all the relevant people that you need to know to make sure that you don't get stuck in this area and that you can bring in some results through the network that I've grown. I make sure the team, in whatever format this looks like, is well organised and proactive in its marketing. And as a consultant with the outside looking in perspective that you mentioned earlier, I have no preconceived ideas on the business or any bias. I come in to the business, chat with you, the business owner, and see things for what they are, meaning you get what you need and when you need it, nothing more or nothing less. The role of someone like me in the outsourced role is to hold your hand, as it were, and to give you the support that you and your business specifically need. An outsourced expert will decipher the right strategy for your business based on the particular audiences and goals that you have. Therefore, by doing this, the business will only be targeting the right prospects at the right time via the right marketing channels with the right messaging. that will resonate, attract, raise awareness, and inspire action. By targeting, niching, and segmenting and planning out in this way, outsourcing can give you back time. How? You'll be hitting the right people at the right time with the right messaging, therefore not wasting time or budget or resource on the wrong types of marketing that don't work for your business. It's not a tick box exercise, and you don't have to cover every marketing channel. If it's not relevant to you and your business and your goals and your audience, that's fine. By getting your marketing and your campaigns and your channels right the first or second time, you as a business owner will have the time freed up, therefore allowing you to stay on top of your business marketing and to be involved, but not necessarily bogged down in the day-to-day detail. After all, that's not what you signed up for and set up your business. The detail and the day-to-day focus is the role of an outsourced marketing director or your marketing manager. Using the outsider looking in perspective, as mentioned before, the outsourced director, in this case, it could be Pinpoint Marketing, we will have the bigger picture in front of us. We will use a strategy and a plan of action. Therefore, we'll be in charge, as such, of the marketing to ensure action and consistency and reaching the goals for you. Being in charge, though, also allows us to be one step removed from the business. So we'll naturally be able to help you improve the communication and flow between your team and your suppliers and all your parties. For example, we'll be the common voice between you, the client, and the business owner, between the parties, for example, your designer, your copywriter, the website host, and so on. The position and role, as we see it, of an outsourced marketing director removes any history, any bias, any preconceived ideas, and internal departmental blocks. Therefore, we don't make assumptions, we make decisions on facts and figures, and we give guidance that is bespoke, personalised, rational, supportive, and right for you, the business owner. In the nicest possible way, we take the emotions out of it, but we allow you to do what you do best. Excuse me. And with a consultant or agency, you'll only pay for what you use, so you're not wasting any additional time and costs. And there'll be less HR and admin red tape, which also benefits to outsourcing. And it can also be a less risky route than recruiting in some cases. Outsourcing is simply for you as and when you need it. After all, it's your marketing, your budget, and your way, so you can do things how you and the business want. So keeping your marketing consistent is another stumbling block that I've found when I was talking to many small business owners. Consistency needs to happen to make sure you have a regular and steady flow of leads coming in, so you can build a healthy and strong pipeline or sales funnel. Consistency also enables short and long-term growth, and that is what an outsourced marketing director can do for you. We can bring you expertise, results, action, accountability, and the all-important consistency, all enabling you to be less hands-on and bogged down with the day-to-day detail, yet still very much involved, as you should be, with your expertise and as the business owner's hat on. But you'll also input, but only on a high strategic level. Action and accountability with less involvement from you personally, leaving you to do what you do best, run the business, get out there networking, talk to the customers, convert the sales, manage the team, and much more. You do you, and we do the marketing. So what's not to like? So let me explain. Here's a quote. Nicole has helped us lay the foundations of our marketing strategy and controls. I would highly recommend Nicole to any company that is looking to outsource their marketing strategy role. Nicole has been working for us since 2014, and during that time, she's proven to be a much valued member of the team. This is through her efforts that the Marcom's administration is on a professional footing. I think that one of the biggest compliments I got when I was working with this client is I was invited often kindly to their Christmas do's, and after a couple of years, one of the gentlemen there said, "Are you not actually an employee?" And I said, "No," and he went, "I'd never have known that." And that to me is the best thing, because I don't want to be the outsider. You want to blend in as a team, and you will add much more value that way. Excuse me. So this quote comes from a previous client that I worked with as their outsourced marketing role. So I liaise with the team from the client side, which was their internal sales manager and also a director, but also with the external PR company and the external website and SEO supplier, to bring together the updates, all the action points, the progress into one report in one voice for the client. I took charge of all the team meetings and ensured that everyone knew their role and carried out the specific action items required by them, so the client and the projects remained on track, but with minimal repetition and time wasted on his behalf. So I oversaw things for him to get consistency and results. So the results were brought to him in a streamlined and efficient way, and I got to do what I'm best at and what I love. He outsourced and invested, and I made it happen with action, progression, and signposting and regularity. So this business festival offering, Pinpoint can offer you a free marketing advice service. In summary, it's basically like an audit or review of your business, where it is now and where you want it to be. It's an idea sort of generating service where you, the business owner, complete questionnaire, which you can download from the link on the slide. You complete it with as much or as little detail as you can. And there's no right or wrong answers, by the way. Just fill it out as you see. And if you don't know the answer, that's fine. And return it to me, and we respond with an email of some ideas and recommendations and suggested next steps for you. It is free and there's no catches or obligations. And finally, also, there's another package that you may be interested in. If your business is in need of delegating or outsourcing when it comes to a marketing director role and you're with your outdoor, so with your day-to-day activities, with all the things that we've mentioned in the slides before, this is potentially a package for you. You get all the benefits of outsourcing that we've mentioned on the slides, including less risks, less costs, but more action, more results, and more time given back to you. Please do contact me for a no obligation chat. So thank you very much for listening to me today, and over to Rachel and Suzanne for any questions.
Okay, hopefully you found all that useful. I'm aware you may have many questions or comments, so I want to leave a little time to enable you to do so. I'll just pass over to Suzanne, who's been receiving your questions, and see what we have.
Yeah, so firstly, I've got a few questions for both of you actually, but Rachel, firstly for you, the question is, do we have to commit to a certain amount of time from you per month? And what happens if we don't use it?
Right, okay. Well, you would have to commit to a certain minimal level, either ongoing for, say, 3 or 6 month periods, so that we can ensure we have the sufficient capacity and then we can give you the service that you need. But the service is intended to be totally flexible so that it can be turned up or down as a commitment at regular intervals. With some notice, and the intention is if you need further input 1 month rather than another, we're in effect smoothing the costs for you if the time is unutilized. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, obviously we just need to make sure that we've got that capacity for you.
Brilliant. Okay. Next one for you, Nicole. As a business owner, one of the questions I've had is, can I outsource all of my marketing?
In theory, yes, you can. The caveat I'd put onto that is that you, the business owner, still needs to have some level of involvement, not necessarily with the hands-on actual implementation or the sending or the doing of something, but from a point of view of authenticity. So having your tone of voice on things, having your input, because your industry better than I do or another marketing consultant can do. We can Google things, we can find out things, but the pain points that the customers have because they talk to you, what has worked and what hasn't worked in the past. So yes, you can outsource all of it, but to have regular contact with whomever's doing it in terms of inputting, giving sort of feedback, updates, because as I say, your clients, your staff, your industry better than anyone else can do coming in from that. So as long as you have that value or adding input, if you like, that also means that the more you input, the more you'll get value out of that consultant that you're using, because they can understand more of the situation and therefore add advice and tips and nuggets on things that are marketing related, but also if they overheard something you mentioned about accounts or an issue like that, we can bring in Rachel or someone from Seymour Taylor and help with that aspect. So the more we know as an outsourced consultant, the more value we can add. And so that's how the relationship would work, I would say. As long as it's two-way, then yes, you can outsource all of it.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nicole. Rachel, in an outsourced FD role, would that include things like maybe writing a business plan and any involvement in strategy?
Yes, we could, and indeed have written business plans for discussion with the company directors and approval. Obviously, they have to have oversight on that. The service is not just about numbers and would involve looking at the whole business holistically. And we can be involved in as much or as little as a client wants us to be. But yeah, we have done that for clients in the past.
Great, thank you. Nicole, final question for you. As a business, is it best for me to write the marketing plan or get someone else to do it?
Well, I'm probably a little bit biased on this one, but it would be a blend of both. How Pinpoint works when working with a client in terms of writing a plan and a strategy is we ask the client questions, interview them if you like, find out the history of when the company was established, what marketing it doesn't do already, ask questions about the target audience, the messaging, the market research, the competition and what they're doing. So we get all that from them, not necessarily in a fancy manner, but it can almost be like a brain dump from the client. We then take all of that information, add our own experiences and our own thoughts to it to help then create that plan for them, because there's certain steps you want to include. There's certain processes and boxes you want to tick when it comes to what sections to include in a strategy and a plan. So in general, it works like that. We'll say we take all the information from the client, ask any additional questions and put it in a document for them, of which then obviously we run through with the client and they can approve and add to it and amend to it going forward. Because that's the idea of a strategy and a plan document, that it remains a flexible piece that the client can use and adapt as and when. But also in some situations where the client has had part of that written, if you like, it may be across different documents, different formats, it may be updated, it may be sort of out of date. They've also then given us everything they've got. We've then deciphered what is covered or not already, then been able to ask additional questions to plug the gaps and create a template and a document for them that way. So there's no sort of hard and fast rules, if you like. But again, it's like anything marketing wise, or in fact anything when you're outsourcing wise, it's having that relationship. It's finding out what someone's got, what they haven't got, what they're good at, what they're not good at, what they want to do, what they don't want to do, into everyone's strengths and creating something that everyone can understand, get on board with and use. And that includes when you're creating a strategy and a planning document.
Great, thank you. Final one for you, Rachel. On outsourcing other services, what if I only wanted to move my credit control? Can I outsource just one element of my finance operations?
Yes, of course. We can be flexible according to the business needs, short-term or long-term, just one element or a whole service function. That's the beauty of using an outsourced provider. And you don't have to then bear the employee costs, because obviously when you take on an employee, you might think, oh, well, I've got to fill all that time for that employee. And if you just want to outsource credit control, because that's perhaps an element of your finance that you don't particularly like doing, then you can just say, okay, well, that's only maybe a few hours a week, then that's something that we can just take on for you. So it's completely flexible. That's the whole point of outsourcing. It's a totally flexible service, and it can be just for a short-term thing. If you just lost someone or lost your person that does credit control, or they're off sick for a period of time, we can step in and just help out for that period of time. So that's the whole beauty of outsourcing. It is completely flexible, and that's where we can help.
What I'd add to that, if that's okay, is also if you're the business owner new to outsourcing or delegating, or you've not done it before, and if it's your business, it's your baby, so people can be reluctant about delegating and outsourcing things. I've probably been guilty of that myself, but you can start, if you started with an aspect like just the credit control, or just the for marketing sense, just the blogging, or just the copywriting of something. It's a good way for you to get started. Hopefully you'll see, and I'm sure you will, from either of us or anyone else you choose you'd see a benefit from it. You'll start seeing results, you'll get more comfortable with handing things over, you'll get more sort of relaxed with it, especially when you see the results, you see things are getting done. And it's a good way you'll start to trust that person more, you'll build a relationship, and therefore probably end up feeling more confident outsourcing more, especially as you're getting busier as a result of what you've been able to outsource. And it's a good way to start.
That's right, Nicole. Yeah, I mean, the example I quoted earlier, the client that I used in my presentation, they started off outsourcing just their purchase ledger to us, and now we do far more services for them. But it did just start off as purely their purchase ledger. That was just what they needed help with at that time, and now we do a lot more for them. But we still don't do other elements of everything for them. It's only sort of certain things. So it is a purely flexible service, and that's the beauty of outsourcing.
Definitely, because you're using what you need as and when you need it, and like you said earlier, circumstances may change, staff levels may change.
Absolutely.
Go on holiday, projects might get brought forward, and all of these things, which are all out of our hands. But that's how, like you said, the beauty of outsourcing works. The person you're outsourcing to can react on that. They can help you with just that thing to get that mailer out of the door, or just to get the deadline met.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, you can use someone's skills and bring them in just for that particular bit that they need.
Yeah.
And then you, the business owner, get it done, but without having to unnecessarily pay someone to sit there day in, day out, that you don't necessarily need them day in, day out. You might do going forward, as I say, when you realise you've got all this free time back, or hopefully any marketing that's been done has started bringing in results and you're getting busier. But like you say, it's a gradual process. It can be as full on or as low key as someone wants, and it can be changed as and when someone wants. As long as all sort of parties are fine with it, then things can be changed. And it's that flexibility that is the benefit of, especially now, post pandemic. Sometimes we're not quite sure what's going on. Sometimes we have to react differently. We don't see things coming, and like you said, that's the benefit of the outsourcing. You can react to those things, good or bad, and deal with them sort of case by case, really.
As you mentioned, Nicole, it can be project based. So you might want to just do a mailer for marketing, or you might just have a problem with credit control at this moment in time. You might have high debtors, so you think, oh, actually, I could really do with a real push on credit control. So we can do it as a project. So, and that's where you can just pick it up and do it as a project for maybe a 3-month period, or as a one-off piece of work with Nicole, and then see how it goes. And then if you think, actually, this has really freed up some time for me, maybe we will take it on and do it as a more regular thing. So it's totally flexible, and that's the idea of it, really.
Yeah, and it's managing the expectations as well, isn't it? It's not, if you or I come in for an hour, it's sadly not a magic wand that's going to fix everything, but it's managing those expectations and giving the best advice and calling it as you see it at that time, because we have no sort of preconceived ideas and no bias. We're just going to recommend what the client actually needs, rather than something specific and that's it, and that's it only. But it's also the managing expectations of, once you get these processes started, you might not see an instant freeing up of time or instant results or an instant boost in profit and sales, but after X amount of time, you may well do.
Great, thank you both.
Any more questions? I don't think
that's it. No more questions.
So, as businesses, we provide regular updates to keep in the know. Follow Seymour Taylor or Pinpoint Marketing on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter, or access our webinars and blogs via our websites, which cover a range of helpful topics. Thank you for listening today, and do get in touch if you think we can help and take us up on our offers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. If you think of any further questions, do get in touch and ask things as and when they come to you. Thank you very much.